You're listening to the School Leadership Reimagined podcast, episode 141. How do builders like us make a dramatic difference in the lives of our students in spite of all the obstacles we face? How do you keep your vision for your school from being held hostage by resistant teachers, uncooperative parents, ridiculous district policies, or lack of time, money, or resources? If you're facing those challenges right now, here's where you'll find the answers, strategies, and actionable tips you need to overcome any obstacle you face. You don't have to wait to make a difference in the lives of the people you serve. You can turn your school into a success story right now with the people and resources you already have. Let's get started. Hey builders, welcome to another episode of the School Leadership Reimagined podcast. I'm your host, Robin Jackson, and today we're going to continue our Versus series by talking about short-term versus long-term. Now, you probably already know that it's better to invest in long-term solutions than short-term fixes. And yet, it's very hard to do, especially in times like the times we're experiencing right now. So we're going to talk about how builders balance the need for a short-term fix with the real need for a long-term solution. But before I do, I want to tell you about something really cool. So if you're listening to this podcast in real time, then tomorrow, Thursday, we're going to be doing something really special. We're calling it the Builders Bootcamp. And it is a 4-hour kind of workshop that we're going to be doing to give you a real good overview of the Buildership model and how you can leverage the Buildership model to become a great principal and to turn your school into a success story with the people and resources you already have. So we're calling it a boot camp because you're going to get Builders Lab, all 3 days of Builders Lab, the big points, big information, and we're going to do it instead of in 3 days, we're going to do it in about 3 hours or so. I said 4 hours earlier, but I think it's 3 hours because it's from 10 to 2, and we have a 90-minute session, then a 30-minute break, then another 90-minute session. So you'll get the summary of the 3 days of Builders Lab content, but we're going to do it in 3 hours. And you want to be there because we are going to help you think through some of the issues that you're facing right now and a lot of the challenges you're facing. And we're going to show you how you can use that Buildership model to get to the root cause of the challenges and solve them once and for all. And that's really important. That's one of the reasons why we're talking about the topic that we're talking about here today. So if you want to come to that boot camp, you still have time, especially if you're listening to this when this episode was released on Wednesday. All you need to do is you need to join Buildership University. When you join Buildership University, you will get access to the workshop for free. Now, if you don't want to join Buildership University, you can get a ticket. You can buy a ticket to the Builders Bootcamp, and all you need to do is go to buildershipuniversity.com, and you'll see other information there. But if you want to come to the workshop for free, all you need to do is join Buildership University, and guess what? Buildership University is free. So go to buildershipuniversity.com to join so that you can get access to the Builders Bootcamp, which is happening tomorrow, Thursday. Now, if for some reason you can't be there from 10 to 2 Eastern Standard Time, but you want to watch the replay, that's perfectly fine. We're going to leave the replay up inside of your dashboard in Buildership University for a couple of days. So if you can't make it live, you'll still be able to watch the replay. So again, buildershipuniversity.com. Now, I'm recording this episode a little bit early, but when you hear this episode, we are going to be in the throes of day 3 of Builders Lab. And Builders Lab is I'm so excited about Builders Lab this year because I spent a lot of time thinking about that Buildership model and how to make it more practical and useful. And so we're going to be debuting a couple of things inside of Builders Lab this year. And if you missed this Builders Lab, don't worry, there's another one coming up in the summertime. So the end of June is going to be our next Builders Lab. We are releasing the dates today, and we give people who are attendees of Builders Lab the first shot at it. But next week, I'll let you know the dates, and then I'll let you know how you can start reserving your slot for our next Builders Lab, which is happening this summer. Okay, so now let's get to our topic for today, which is really about this idea of short-term solutions versus long-term solutions. So I was talking to one of my coaching clients the other day, And he was saying that we only have about 6 weeks left between now and the time that his students are going into testing, and the students aren't ready. We're looking at some of the data, and we're realizing that the students they're not ready yet. And so we're trying to figure out, what do we do? There are all kinds of tricks that you can do to nudge kids' test scores up. And a lot of times when you get to this point in the year, the temptation exists to do that, to do the trick so that you can show some gains this year. And this is a particularly challenging year because this is the first year in several years that students have been back in person for schooling 5 days a week. And they have experienced the pandemic. So for a lot of our students, they started in first grade during the pandemic. They're now third graders. And so many of them have never experienced school in the traditional sense. And so they're coming into school, or the kids who've been, even the ones who have been in school, they've been out of school for 2 years, or they've had interrupted schooling for 2 years. Not only that, but this year has been particularly fraught. We're having COVID outbreaks. And there are districts right now that are closing for a couple of weeks, or this school is closed, but this school is open. And so every day you're kind of looking at the news to see if your school is open. And so there's just a lot going on right now. And yet we're still expected to help kids read on grade level and think mathematically and perform at grade level. We're expected to still help students show growth from 1 year to the next. We're still held accountable for that. And so the temptation right now is to start to grab those short-term solutions. And we tell ourselves, we rationalize, we say, well, it's just this year because this year has been so tough, and we still want to show gains and growth. But in our hearts, we know that those short-term tricks and strategies are not really doing it. I was talking to someone the other day, and he was saying, my district is putting a lot of pressure on me to graduate kids. And sure, I could do things to graduate kids, but if I do that and they're really sincerely not mastering the content, if I pass them on, or if I put them in credit recovery and, kind of push them through so that they can get the credits, but they don't actually learn the content, am I doing them any favors? What am I really preparing them for when they leave school? If we do these tricks and strategies, we know we can probably boost test scores, but are we really preparing students? Are we really helping them? And that's the dilemma that a lot of us face. So I want to talk to you about the way that builders handle it. Builders know that there are these, short-term solutions out there. But builders resist the temptation to grab a short-term solution because they know that the short-term solution is not fair to our students, but they also know something else. You see, when you grab that short-term solution and you put it into place, you are building a habit. You are creating a habit in your school. You are telling people that it's okay to cheat the system. And I don't mean cheat the system like you're giving kids test answers. That's not what I mean, but it's okay to not do the right work. It's okay to grab the quick fix. And you are building those habits, and you're building it. And while you get a short-term payoff, you will spend twice as much time undoing those habits down the line when you're ready to apply that long-term solution. So what builders know is that we can't get seduced by the short-term solutions because those short-term solutions have long-term consequences. So builders resist the temptation, and what they do is they start building. They go back and they figure out what is at the root of why we are not able to help our students manifest a year's worth of growth for a year's worth of school. What is happening in our school that's keeping our students from reading at or above grade level? Why aren't more of our students graduating? And rather than spending a lot of time and energy trying to boost test scores up or passing percentage up by a couple of percentage points, what builders do is they assess and they go back to the beginning and they figure out what is not working, and they spend that time and energy on fixing things once and for all. Builders are willing to take a short-term loss in favor of a long-term gain. Builders are willing to put the work in now, even though there's a lot of pressure. They're willing to withstand that pressure, put the work in so that they can have the long-term results. And so what happens is, while everybody else is scrambling, builders are steadily building. While everybody else is panicking and trying to eke out a couple of extra points, builders are putting things in place that they know are going to result in dramatic gains, if not this year, then in the year to come. While everybody else is spending a lot of time and energy and with these quick strategies and sending this message to students that these strategies, it's about passing the test. It's not really about whether or not you know something. Builders are laying the foundation and helping students learn and serving their students because they are playing the long game, not the short game. You know, I always say that, you know, everybody else is playing checkers, builders are out here playing chess, but it's really true. When you become a builder, you stop going for the short-term win. You've heard me say this all the time. It's a saying at Mindsteps, and it's become a Buildership saying. We always say all money ain't good money. And sometimes what you do to grab that short-term gain, to relieve the immediate panic, it actually creates more problems down the line. And if you are just steadily building, laying that foundation, building on that foundation with your school, that's when you see the long-term gains. And they are way more dramatic. So stop chasing these little teeny short-term gains and invest in the long term. That's where the reward is. That's how builders do. Now, I want to talk about it not just for test scores, because I'm seeing it happen in schools and other places too. Instead of getting building an environment where students are actually being nurtured and supported, we're going for short-term SEL strategies because we feel like we need to be doing something because our kids are really stressed out. So instead of kind of getting to the root cause about what you can and can't really accomplish in school and focusing on building a school where students feel safe, where students who may be dealing with profound challenges at home can come to school and still be able to learn and perform. Instead of building that, what we do is bring in a program or, throw a couple of SEL strategies or, do an SEL segment in our school day. And we give the students a short-term solution to what is really a deeper and more profound problem. We're wasting time trying to throw a Band-Aid on their SEL issues when what we could be doing is building a school where our students feel safe and supported and nurtured and empowered and an environment where students feel like they can come to the adults in the building and get the long-term supports that they need. We're doing the same thing with staff. I can't tell you the number of people who are saying, what can I do for Staff Appreciation Day? And I get the sentiment. You want to do something nice for Staff Appreciation Day, but your staff does not need another school sweatshirt. Your staff needs to be in a work environment that supports them. They need to be involved in work that's meaningful. They need to feel like they're making a difference, that all of the hard work that they're being asked to do it actually matters in the lives of their kids. They need to not be asked to do stupid stuff and instead be supported in doing the right work the right way so that their students are learning and growing and thriving. Short-term solution, sweatshirt. Long-term solution, build an environment that people don't feel like they need an escape from, that build an environment where people feel appreciated every day, not just on Teacher Appreciation Week. You see, that's one of the main differences between being a leader and being a builder. You see, as leaders, we were trained to react, to see a problem and just come up with a Band-Aid to that problem. That's one of the markers of being a great leader. You can think on your feet, you can get a Band-Aid going. And it's sexy, it's great. People, love to feel good about, well, I solved the problem, I got this thing in, and we're doing this thing, and I did this great program, I did a great staff appreciation thing, they loved it. But then the next day, when staff appreciation is over, your staff goes back to that same environment they were in before, where they felt unappreciated. You do this great, assembly that addresses some SEL issues. You bring in this great guest speaker. The next day, your students are still struggling with these profound issues and don't have the tools to deal with it. You do this 6-week push, and at the end of the year, when you get your test scores back, you've made some little tiny incremental gain. But your students still don't know how to read. They're still not thinking mathematically. They don't know how to understand and solve problems. They can't. They next year those skills are not there, and so the students start out even further behind because you neglected the foundation and just did the superficial stuff. We've got to stop panicking. We've got to stop grabbing short-term solutions. We've got to learn how to kind of stop listening to the noise and really focus on what's important. And when I say we, I really mean we, because this is something that I struggle with too. I often get seduced into coming up with short-term solutions. And I've really been fighting this. So when people come to me for coaching or they come to a workshop, they come with a problem. My nature is I want to solve the problem. I'm mastery driven. So I want to fix it right away. And so I start coming up with these solutions and everybody's like, yeah, that's great. And then I like it because people think I'm brilliant because I've given them this really short-term solution. But I'm not serving them. I'm doing them a huge disservice because a short-term solution is not going to solve the problem. And yet, when people come to me with a challenge and I say, well, that's the challenge, but that challenge is a symptom of a deeper problem. And we start digging and we find the deeper problem. All of a sudden, I'm not the person who solved the problem. I'm just the person who's just exacerbated the problem. They see the deeper problem, but not everybody's ready to deal with the deeper problem. And so, it doesn't always come off like I don't always feel like the hero. And we all kind of want to feel that way, don't we? We all want to feel like we're doing something. We're the hero. We're making a difference. And so it's not always fun to be the person who's pointing out the deeper problem. But here's the deal. The people who are ready to be builders, when I show them the deeper problem and they understand it and they start working on it, it doesn't take them long to solve it. We're not talking about years into the future. If you really deal with the fundamental problem, what we call the one thing, when you deal with that and you solve it, you get that obstacle out of your way. Oh my goodness. It's amazing. It doesn't take long, first of all. And when that problem is gone, without doing anything extra, all you did was remove a blockage, the floodgates open. And everything starts working and it all starts making sense. And they have these dramatic gains, but they're dramatic because they seem that they've come out of nowhere, when in fact, all you did was remove the blockage that was keeping those gains from happening to begin with. So the older I get, the more I occupy this space of being a builder, the easier it gets to resist. So here's my challenge for you this week. When a problem comes up, I want you to resist the urge to solve it. Instead, I want you to think about what's really causing it. What is the root problem? What is the long-term solution that's going to eliminate the problem? Not solve it, but eliminate it, so I never have to deal with it again. And then resist the urge for the short-term solution. Endure the immediate pain just a little while longer so that you can remove it once and for all. When you do that, when you deal with that long-term problem and eliminate it rather than settling for a short-term solution, that's what building is all about. You begin to build something better. You're not just maintaining the institution. That's what leadership teaches you how to do. Instead, you're building something better. So this week, I'm urging you, resist the temptation to deal with the short-term solution, and instead understand the root cause. And if you're not sure how to do that, then that's what we do in Buildership University, and that's what I show you how to do in Builders Lab. So the bootcamp tomorrow, I'm going to be showing you how we do that. We have a very simple system that helps you quickly get to the root cause. We call it microslicing. And those of you who have seen microslicing before, we've done it in classrooms, but now we've taken that same strategy and we've applied it to whole schools so that you can very, very quickly get to the root cause. So you are doing the right work, and you're doing the right work in the right order, so you can solve the problem once and for all. So that's the difference between being a leader and a builder. A leader settles for short-term solutions, even though you know in your heart that those short-term solutions are just band-aids to a deeper problem. As a builder, what you do is you say, I'm not going to settle for band-aids. I know that there's a deeper problem there. I know that problem's not going away. So I'm going to solve it once and for all. When you do that, you take your school places it can't go unless you do that. When you do that, you eliminate problems so that you can focus on doing the work that really matters. When you do that, you're not going to be seen as a hero right away. In fact, you're going to have to endure a little bit of discomfort so that you can get to the real root issue. And sometimes that can be hard, and sometimes that can even be a little isolating when everybody's putting all this pressure on you to solve it, and you're saying, no, we're going to deal with the root problem, and then you will see the difference. But if you choose to do it, oh my goodness, the difference it's going to make in your school. You will see dramatic difference because you have solved a persistent problem in your school and you've removed it. So it's no longer something you have to deal with. You'll endure short-term discomfort, but you will experience long-term and lasting pleasure and excitement and joy because that problem is gone. You never have to deal with it again. So this week I'm urging you, don't settle for the short-term quick fix. Invest in the long-term solving of that problem and eliminating it for good. And when you do, when you invest in the long term instead of the short term, you will see big, huge, dramatic gains because you chose to deal with your problems like a builder. I'll talk to you next time.
Hey, if you're ready to get started being a builder right away, then I want to invite you to join us at Buildership University. It's our exclusive online community for builders just like you, where you'll be able to get the exact training that you need to turn your school into a success story right now with the people and resources you already have. Inside, you'll find our best online courses, live trainings with me, tons of resources, templates, and exemplars, and monthly live office hours with me where you can ask me anything and get my help on whatever challenge you're facing right now. If you're tired of hitting obstacle after obstacle and you're sick of tiny little incremental gains each year, if you're ready to make a dramatic difference in your school right now, then you need to join Buildership University. Just go to buildershipuniversity.com and get started writing your school success story today.